Hey, you guys. All right. You would not believe how much stuff I have on my desk right now. It's crazy. I seriously need an L-shaped or maybe even a U-shaped desk. Um, okay, so I thought what we could do is talk about the covers. Okay, so because I've already made the covers, and then I was like, well, maybe I should, do this video series kind of thing. So anyway, so I'm just going to talk about some options with the covers. The ones that I already made they're 9 inches. 9 inches tall, and then I think 5 inches wide. Just shy of 5 inches, like 4 7/8 or something like that. So, with the flaps and on the inside, and those will be different depending on what size your file folders are. If you're using like green file folders, those might be a little bit different. Like sometimes they're a little taller, or whatever. They're a little taller depending on how you cut the metal part off. But anyway, so that isn't really what I wanted to talk about. What I want to talk about is basically the collaging part. And so I'm just gonna prep a couple of these. So you have to just decide for yourself if you want to leave the tab on or not. And I think, well, I'm going to cut this one. I'm going to cut this end off. So I'm going to wind up, I think, with just a little bit of that tab. And I think I'm going to wind up cutting that off. I don't really want that on there. The other ones that I made already, they're a different kind of file folder. So they don't have this type of tab. They're different. They're from a medical file. So yeah, so I'm actually going to just cut that off. And I'll leave this little guy here. That doesn't bother me. But if you have the tab in the center on yours, you might want to leave it just because, you might want to leave it. I don't know. Anyway, so then you have this little piece that's left over, and you can use that to make some tags or something. And then you want to use a scoreboard, and I just have the short one here on my desk, so it's better to use the larger scoreboard if you have one. But I'm going to score this at, I guess we'll just do it the same, at 4 7/8. Hold on, I can't see what I'm doing. Just a second, guys. It's because I have too much stuff over here on my desk. Just a minute. And I'm going to use the other side of this. I've had people ask me what this is and where I got it, and to be honest, I don't remember. Did I do that in the wrong place? Yes. Oh my God. Okay. There. It's 4 7/8. And see, it doesn't go all the way down, but that's okay. I don't necessarily need it to. I just need it kind of like marked. That'll help me fold it. It's better if you can score it all the way down, obviously. Okay. And that's enough for me to get a straight. All right. So see, I don't know. I kind of like that. It makes it a little awkward when you're when you're trimming later after you've collaged on the front and then on the back, or on the inside, on the outside, it's a little more difficult to trim that with scissors, but you know, you can manage. If you don't like the tabs, then just cut those off flush, you know, cut them off wherever you want. So I just basically, you know, glued like book pages and that kind of stuff all over the cover, and just to get it covered, you know. So let's just do that real quick. Doesn't have to be anything, doesn't have to be really anything fancy. Honestly, it's just to get some paper on there. And I'm out of this is the last of my Blick glue sticks, and there's like a teeny bit left, not much. So I'm going to use this until it runs out, and then I'm switching to a school glue that I have, because I've kind of had these for backup. Anyway, just to kind of show you guys how I went about doing those other covers. And these are just scraps of different book pages and stuff like that. Kind of overlap them here and there. Baby wipes. I don't know how anybody can do this without baby wipes, to be honest. Let's grab some paper that has some writing on it. And I'm working on the outside of the cover now. This is going to be the outside. Oh, come on. I hope I have enough in here just for this one piece. Because this is where I'm going to cover it with the tissue and stuff, and use the you know, the mineral oil. So yeah, I got to switch to this guy. And these are so weird. It says that they're encourages proper writing grip. So like, I guess kids are supposed to use it like that, and it's like angled weird. I don't like it. I don't like it. So a lot of times when I know that I'm going to be folding something like this and I'm collaging on it, I try to sort of make a break at that edge, you know, or at the very least, I like to use paper that I know will be relatively easy to bend it, and not use like super thick papers on my folds, you know. Just getting some variety. You could use really small little scraps of book pages and stuff on this. Let's see. Oh, let's put this over here. I usually will go off the edges just to be sure that I get it all covered. And then I trim it later. Glue sticks are always, you know, if you extend the glue out too far, you almost always wind up with these little globs, you know. Okay. Something else. Let's add some numbers. So I'm not extremely worried about the glue on this because it's going to be coated and it's all going to get stitched around the edges and all that. So I'm not extremely worried about it holding like forever, you know. It's also going to get sprayed with a clear coat. And it's pretty, you know, I mean, it's glued on there. So let's see. This is a good way to just use up scraps of book pages. If you're like me and you can't seem to throw them away, just need one more right there. Actually, like that, and then this one can go right there. And I'm kind of like wiping up the excess glue that went off the edge. Okay. So that's that. And then I would also do that little strip that you cut off too. I would cover that with some book page, just to get something on it. And so this is the outside of our cover. On the inside, I would just do more, you know, papers that don't have much writing on them. But I mean, you don't have to do that, but that's kind of what I wanted to do because I thought it would be nice if somebody wants to write on that they could actually read it, you know. Anyway, so we'll let this dry and pretend that it's already dry. Okay. So then I want to come back and add maybe some images. So I'm going to bend these so that I know where my folds are, because I'm going to sort of treat each panel independently, you know. I guess I could make some things kind of overlap and spill over. It's just that I know I'm going to be folding that and sanding that down and inking right on that edge. So just be, you know, aware that you might lose some of that image if you're going to do this pretty much the same way that I'm doing it. But I do like that rose sort of spilling over onto that right-hand panel. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that down like that. So then, you know, I would just embellish the page in however you want, you know, glue some images, or use some of the pressed flowers or, you know, whatever, labels, and just do you up a little collage, you know? And so you're happy with it. But keep in mind that this is going to get covered with, you know, paper again. So these are nasturtiums. I know you guys know what nasturtiums are. So I guess what I'm saying is that I'm knowing that I'm going to be covering this with the tissue. I kind of want to use, I guess we're just going with roses on this one. I kind of want to use things that are a little bit bolder colors, you know. Otherwise they you know, have a tendency to just kind of get lost, and it was sort of a waste of the image, you know. Like if you're fussy cutting things and you want to be able to see it, then I would recommend using images that, first of all, are a little bit larger in scale, and also have a little bit stronger color. Otherwise, like I said, they have a tendency to get lost once we've done all the other stuff on here. So I'm just going to do, this is another, I love this book that I get these roses out of. It's, I can't remember the name of it, but it's just all roses. And they're like, there's one of them is like old-fashioned roses or something. And then the other one is English roses. So let's see. We could just go with more flowers, I guess. Let's do, I gotta add a mushroom. Oh, you know what I forgot? Hold on. Hold the phone. I'd like to do some kind of like patterned paper, some kind of decorative paper. Also, this is just like a cardstock scrapbook paper. And if I can, I like to peel off that like back layer a little bit so it's not as thick. Let's see if I can get any of this on here. I might not be able to because I've already glued down my images, but it's not that big of a deal, you know. Just if you want to have some kind of colorful paper in the background, then I would add that before you start gluing any images. Do as I say, not as I do, right? And this one I'm going to put, actually, you know what? I'm going to make this one go on the edge over here. And let's see, one more. All right, let's just use some of this one. Okay. When I'm gluing cardstock, a lot of times I like to use the like art glitter glue or something like that. That's a little bit stronger for sure, but we'll do this for now. Okay. There. See, it just kind of breaks up the book page, the tone. It adds just a little bit more interest, I think, in your background. I'm really trying to get to the tissue part, because I think that's where, if anybody is having hesitation or any kind of, you know, concern, I think it's going to be with that, because I'm sure most people don't have that paper that I've been using. So I came up with some options. Okay, so let me get rid of this. And then just want to add a couple of labels and maybe some postage stamps. I really don't like these glue sticks. It says that they're out for delivery. I ordered some more of the Amazon Basics glue sticks because I figured they would get here quicker than the Blick ones. Let's see. So I'm just literally like, this is pretty random, the way I'm just adding this stuff on here. That's a pretty color red. I like that. So then, like little tickets or just like your smaller bits of ephemera or whatever, tear up some receipts, or just, you know, add all kinds of interesting things kind of throughout the panel. You know, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 panels. And every once in a while, I like to come and just kind of bend this just to sort of remind myself where those are. And so I've been doing the label stamps on some of that. I don't know if you guys remember seeing, I shared a link to this website where they have just like some textures. They're like free to download different textures that you can use however you want. And I'll share the link in the description again to that website. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. Just adding some little bits all around. Some of these I've already done some stamping on. Let's add a label on this panel. Okay. Well, I might as well put one there too. And then, you know, you could do some stamping on this too. I'm going to add just a couple of little stenciled numbers. Do some stenciled letters too. That would be fun. I think I want to add this label too. I'm going to put it right up there. Right at the top. Oh, is that the glue? Yay. The glue's here. Thanks, Mom. Right on. Okay. Yay, the glue's here. Okay, so that's that. I don't have to use this anymore. Sorry if it feels like I'm rushing you guys. I just don't want to, you know, I just don't want it to take 2 hours to kind of go through this. So, all right. So then I'm going to do just a couple of little stencils just around, and my hands are going to get covered with ink. Because I never wash these off. So this ink pad is just a foam pad. It's not felt like the Distress ink pads are. So, and I kind of over ink it a little bit. And I just, I've been using just all kinds of different inks on there. Anything that's like dark. So there's some blue and some purple and some black and some Distress ink too. Anyway, so some of these I'm sort of overlapping onto the labels. Let's do one more. Oh, I used 2 different 6s. I think one's supposed to be a 9. I'm going to put this one right here. So on those other covers, I also glued some quotes on the pages. These are just little number stencils that I have. I know people look for these after they see me using them. People look for them, and I'll tell you where I found them was on Etsy, and I searched up vintage brass stencils. Oops, I already have another number right there. Vintage brass stencils. So these happen to be, I think, from like stenciling page numbers into like a ledger book. Okay, so that's just, you know, just a little bit of something, something, you know. It honestly doesn't really matter like how much of that kind of thing you do on these, because it's going to get covered anyways. But let's see. Let's stamp a label over here. There. We'll do one here too. Okay. So just a little bit. And then I'll show you what I came up with for doing the tissue. Oh my God, it's literally like a, I was going to do some pressed flowers and some mushrooms and all kinds of other stuff on this, but you know, you get the idea. You get the idea, right? Okay. So for the tissue, since I realize lots of people probably don't have, and this really needs to dry because I need that ink to dry. I have been using from one of these books that I got from Louise at Forever French. Some of these are from an olive oil producer. These are like letters that they've written to customers or whatever. And then I got another one from her that is something else. I don't know. But it's cool because it has the place where it was written. See, Paris, 8th of March, 1880. To Edward. Anyway, so these were like personal letters, I think, or something. Anyway, so I think that's kind of fun. So I don't know what this paper is. It might be onion skin. I'm not sure, but it is very, very, very thin. It's like super thin. And what it is, what it compares to, I think, is a very thin tracing paper. Like this. Just really thin tracing paper. Except for tracing paper has like almost like a glossy, this one does anyway, has an almost like glossy side to it, and then a not glossy side. So I would say this would be the back and this would be the front. This would be the side that you would probably draw on. So what I did, just to kind of simulate that paper that was in the ledger book, I just did some stamping on this paper, on the tracing paper. Different like text stamps. Like this one is just some different script. And then these are like dictionary entries, just rubber stamps. And I have this one too. So it's more of a finer kind of script. These came from the thrift store. So, oh, this is a Tim Holtz one. Anyway, so did that. This one I kind of mixed the two together. And I haven't actually tried this yet. So we can try it and see how it works, okay? Or you don't have to do the stamping on it. You could just do plain, you know, and do some stamping later if you want or something. Anyway, but some other stuff that I pulled out that I thought would work to do this are, so this is some paper from Paper Napkin, and I feel like this would work. I'll stamp on one of those and see how I like it. And then I did actually find some tissue. So you could just use tissue paper, just white tissue paper. Or I found a lot of options, you guys. This was paper that I realized nobody's going to have this either, but you might, you never know. This is a rice paper. It's like a natural rice paper. it has Japanese writing all over it. So it's kind of cool. It's from this book that I bought on eBay. And some of the pages are blank. So I could do some stamping on this too and use that. So I'm just trying to find papers that are relatively thin and that I think when I coat it with the mineral oil, it's going to become translucent. So this is pattern tissue from a really old pattern. And I have this in my like collage box, you know. So see, this is this pattern tissue. I didn't feel like going out to the garage to grab any pattern tissue that had the writing on it already. But I think if you have that, that would be really cool to use, especially for junk journal purposes. And then this is just some craft color tissue paper that I have. And what else? What else did I pull out? Oh, so there's these, you know, those Tim Holtz tissues that come in a roll. So you could use this, although, you know, I think on this type of thing, that's going to be a little much. Like, I don't think that's really going to work for this one, but if you just use this, I think it would be really cool. And then just maybe add some labels, just like maybe add some labels and some numbers and not add all of those images, and then just decoupage this pattern tissue over the top. And then I also thought that I would try some very thin book paper and see what happens, you know. Maybe I'll try that on a couple of tags or something. So some book pages, like that's from an old dictionary. And then this is one of the Audell's books. It's pretty thin. You know how dictionary or even Bible paper is really, really thin? I think that would work for this. And then I have some little tiny dictionaries that have pretty thin paper. And then this little book, this little Shakespeare book, that it has really, really thin paper in it. So I was just looking for thin paper in my book pages, and that's what I came up with. So I'm going to try some of these options on some of these tags just to get an idea of how they're going to work before I commit to using them on like a cover. So these already have tissue glued on them, but these don't. That one has writing on the back, so it looks funny. Okay, like that one, that one, that one, that one. Okay, these don't have any tissue over the top of them. So I'll just try some of those other options and see what they look like. Let's try this first. Just the tracing paper, okay? And when I glued this on, I did actually do it with the PVA glue when I did those big covers. I used the PVA, and I did water it down just a little bit. This PVA glue isn't extremely thick anyway. It's this glue, but it's really nice because it remains flexible. And then I just added a little bit of water into it, kind of stir it in, rather than, you know, watering down the whole bottle of glue, which I don't want to do. I'll just water down a little bit in this little tray. So let's see how this looks. Now I don't have any images or anything glued onto this, but I think this will give us a good idea of how translucent this will become. Now I put the shiny side up on this one. I want to try this both ways. So with the tracing paper. So I did my stamping on the matte side of the paper, okay? And I turned it over and I glued that side down. So the script that's on here is going to be backwards, but it doesn't matter because you can't read it anyways. And it's still going to look like script. Okay. So there's that one. And that's with the shiny side up on tracing paper. And then let's do one with the shiny side down. Whoops, I could put something underneath my work here, but I'm not gonna. Okay, now I want the shiny side down. Now, when you put this tissue on, this is important. You don't want to put a layer of glue over the top of this paper, okay? Only glue on the back. The glue will act as a sealant and it won't allow the mineral oil to penetrate the paper. So, you know, you don't want to do that. One thing you could also do, which I think looks kind of cool, and this is what I did on that one darker cover that people have commented on, the little one, is I actually put oil on this before I put the tissue over it, okay? And that makes it a little bit darker. So let's just try one with this Tim Holtz tissue. So yeah, you don't want to put glue over the top. That's really important. And if you wind up overlapping these layers of tissue at all, wherever you glue, like say I want to put this over the top. If I glue the back of this to put it over the top of that a little bit, that's going to seal it so that the oil won't penetrate and you won't get that translucency. I'm going to just go ahead and call it transparency because it is sort of like transparent. Anyway, that is important. And then let's try some of the this is from the napkin. Whoops, let me wipe this glue up. I want to stamp on it a little bit. Oh, I thought what would be kind of fun is to just stamp some lines. Just stamp some lines on there and you know, put it on a tag. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you could use Mod Podge for this too. I have, for some reason, I've developed a distaste for Mod Podge. I don't know what it is. And if it wrinkles a little bit, that's okay. It's not, you know, a big, huge deal. But I do try to press it down so I don't have like big air bubbles underneath. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what it is about Mod Podge, but For some reason, I don't know. I don't really like it that much anymore. Oh, and then also this just rice paper. Just regular, plain white rice paper. It's pretty thin. I always keep that in my collage box. So let's try the pattern tissue and see how that looks using, a darker paper. Let's just do this script. Oops. There, that'll work. Okay, do this one on a little bit bigger. Have an appointment on Monday at the Humane Society to look at a kitty cat. I'm kind of getting excited about it. I think it'll be fun. It'll be fun to have a pet again. Okay. This is going to be interesting to see how this looks after the oil is put on. Since I didn't do any images underneath that, I don't know how that's going to look. I really want to try this, even though I know most of you guys won't have this particular paper, but it's really just a natural rice paper. It's pretty old. Let's try it on this tag. So that way we have some light and some dark underneath. And then on that larger one that on the cover that I just collaged, then I'll determine which one of these options I'm going to use on that. Don't really want to play around with that because I would maybe like to use it, and if it comes out not how I want, then I don't have to. Okay, what else did I have? Oh, the book pages. Let's see. I'm curious about the book pages, how translucent they will become. Let's see. I'm going to grab something else that's a little bit more contrast. I just want to see how much of the background comes through after I put the oil on. Okay. So I really don't want to overlap these because I want the oil to penetrate into all the layers, or at least through that one layer, right? Know what I'm saying, y'all? Picking up what I'm laying down. Okay. Book page, and then need to put another one down here. Let's use the Shakespeare. Let's use the Shakespeare page right down here. Okay. Just a little test, just to see. Okay. And that'll give me a pretty good idea. I've got some other book pages here, but I don't think I need to necessarily test all of them. They're all pretty thin. This one is kind of cool though. Let me try that. Let me do this one. This is from the Audell's book. So I am going to do the page packs. Yeah, I don't know if this is going to be, whoops. I don't know if the mineral oil is going to penetrate this paper because it's a little bit glossy, but we'll see. It might. Never know. We'll see. I'm going to let it dry. Okay. So that's pretty much all of these options, you know, that I've pulled out. Now I have a good mess to clean up. Okay. Go away. So then let's start with these. So this is the one where I had the shiny side down, and this is the shiny side up on the tracing paper. Let me get this glue off my desk. Okay, and I'm using, it's sewing machine oil, but it really is just mineral oil. It's a really light oil. You could use baby oil, you know. I just don't happen to have any baby oil, so I'm using this. But I just squirt a little bit on here. Whoops, I have to take the cap off. Doesn't take much. And then I was just using my finger, but I decided, oh, maybe I could use a brush. So I'm using a foam brush. Okay, and it did penetrate pretty well. There might be enough on this brush to do this now. Okay, so that's the shiny side up. No, that's the shiny side down. This is the shiny side up. I just want to know if it makes a difference. Let me make sure I'm using the same amount of oil. I think it's the same. Doesn't make any difference. So then I just take a paper towel and wipe up the excess. Yeah. And then I'm just going to set these aside and let them dry, and then I'll come back and trim that off, and then, you know, could do some other stuff with them. So what was the next thing I did? I don't remember if it was this or not, but I'm just going to add a little bit of oil on here. Just a few drops. This is the Tim Holtz collage paper tissue. Comes in a roll. I took it off the rolls and just rolled them up, or just folded them up. So see, that's pretty dark, but you can see the book page, you know, behind it. I don't know if I didn't show this to you guys. Let's see, you can see the book page behind the tissue that I stamped on. Okay, so that'll work. And I am going to let these dry, and they do actually dry pretty well. Like the oil doesn't come off on your hands. If you wipe it off like that, it really does. It's, you know, it's not greasy or anything like that. And it's such a light oil that it doesn't really matter. Okay, so this is kind of cool. This is the napkin liner paper or whatever from, you know, the 2 layers of white paper off of a napkin when you peel them apart. So yeah, that becomes very transparent, like very much so. So I think that's kind of neat. I don't know. And I think it's the texture too that I really like with, you know, doing this with that layer of paper. And I mean, this whole thing started, this whole kick that I'm on of doing this thing with the baby oil or whatever is because of the pressed flowers. And it's nice to be able to seal the pressed flowers underneath something else, you know. But then I was like, I really like the way that looks too, and I like the way it feels. So it was who was that did that in that journal? Was it Jessica Harris? I can't remember who it was. It was one of the journals that I was showing on a show and sell video. Somebody had done that with a pressed flower, and I just thought that was so cool. Okay, so I mean, I don't know. I mean, sometimes those things just inspire you, right? To kind of go off on some other direction too. So this is the pattern tissue. Just add in a few drops. And I stamped on it. What I'm trying to see is if the writing that's on that paper that was glued onto the tag first, if that's coming through, like if you can see it now after applying the oil. And not really. Not really. Of course, like I said, this probably wasn't the best example. If I had glued like some images or, you know, like some flowers or pressed flowers or something behind this, I think you would be able to see it, because see that little stamp right there? That was on the original paper, and that is actually coming through pretty well. But the writing doesn't, because the writing was kind of faint anyway. And yeah, it didn't have that much contrast. So just, you know, just keep that in mind if you're looking at using like pages from a ledger or something like that. You want, you know, darker, richer, more contrast. So this is the rice paper that's from that Japanese book. I'm just going to put some oil on this brush this time. Doesn't seem to make too much difference if the layer of glue is perfectly dry either. I don't think it really has to be. So that's pretty cool. You can totally see the book page underneath, and also the script that's on the paper. So yeah, so that works pretty well. Very transparent, I would say, after it gets the mineral oil. I need to wipe these off. I haven't been wiping these off. And then you know, you can decide if you want to spray it with like a clear coat or if you just want to leave it natural like that. Um, but I think those ones, like I said, the covers that I did, I don't think I'm going to spray them. Okay, I'm curious about this book page. See how this is going to work. Yep. Yep, I can totally see the writing that was on that ledger paper underneath coming through. Pretty clearly. It was real dark writing, you know. And this is pretty thin book paper. But yeah, I would say the thinner book pages will work, like especially from like a dictionary or something like that. Pretty cool. I don't know. I just think it's fun. It's just neat. It's just a neat look. And it's, you know, grungy, kind of grungy. And then that oil, I think when you ink that, also the oil kind of helps the ink sort of blend in better too. Okay, so this is the last thing. This is the last one with this Audell's book page. The paper itself is pretty thin, but it does have a little bit of a glossy coating on it. So I don't know. Might take a little bit for it to soak in too. So you can see the writing, you can see the text that's behind this paper. You can see it a little bit coming through, but I would say it's not really that transparent. It's very subtle. So if you had some like flowers or something behind there, you might not really be able to see them that well. Yeah. So I would say don't use glossier papers, book pages. I don't think that's going to work. You want paper that's a lot more porous. And when you get mineral oil all over your desk, baby wipes. I use baby wipes for everything. All right. So that was the whole point, was I wanted to test these different papers and see how transparent they became. I think that the tracing paper is good. Rice paper is good. Very thin, matte book pages are good. I would say pattern tissue is good. Any kind of tissue paper is going to be good. I prefer something like this stamping over images like that, but it just depends on what you want to do if you're going to use pattern tissue. And then the napkin, just the white napkin with some stamping on it. I think I really like that too. So that's a good way to use up the white paper if you are into using napkins. So this, as it sits too, sometimes the oil penetrates a little bit better. So I'm going to let this set a little better or a little longer and see if I like it. I do love these books because of all those little diagrams and stuff. So if I really want to use that, what I think I should do is use that on the base and then, you know, put a layer of tissue or something over the top. So, okay. Okay, guys, so that's where I'm at, and I'll figure out what I want to cover this with. I think, I don't know. I still don't know which one I want to use. I probably will wind up using the napkin paper on this. And maybe I'll do another one, and then we can make another one of these covers. I can collage it like this. We'll do another one, and I'll cover it with paper, and then we can just make some tags out of this stuff too, out of this for the journals. I can always use this as tags. So, and then I'm going to do the inside too. So got some work to do, and then I will come back and we'll talk about maybe doing the like distressing and stuff on the covers, and maybe get into some of the pockets or something. So, okay, guys, that's about it. That's it for now. It's all she wrote. All right. I love you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.